The success of air travel in the 1930s led to the demand for much larger aircraft. One of those was the famous Fox Moth, built around the Tiger Moth. But something even bigger was needed. So de Havilland introduced this. The DH-84, originally called the Dragon Moth. The ancestry relating back to the Moth is fairly easy to see. Fuselage construction is very, very similar, albeit somewhat bigger than a normal Moth. The engines, the classic Gypsy Major engines, although in this case we've actually got two of them. The wing folding mechanism of the Dragon Moth was very similar to the one that was introduced by the Moth earlier and later in the Hornet Moth. You've got clips down at the bottom and for the top wing as well. The whole of this outer wing folds back, and underneath the top wing you have the jury struts, which came down and anchored into the lower wing. That gave stability to the whole mechanism. So very similar to that which was introduced on the first Moth and later on aircraft like the Hornet Moth. So you can see the ancestry of this aircraft tracing back to the original DH-60. So just like the Moth, the wings are fairly rectangular. There's no taper towards the outside. The distance between the struts here and the struts inner is pretty much the same. So it's carrying on that same design principle that was used in the early de Havilland aircraft, including the Moth itself. De Havilland responded to the demand for yet more and bigger aircraft by developing the original Dragon Moth, or Dragon as they then began to call it, into this, the Dragon Rapide. At first sight, the fuselage looks very similar to the original 84 Dragon, but in fact the whole thing was a little bit larger, able to accommodate more passengers. The engines, instead of the Gypsy Major engines that we had with the 84, we've now got the new Gypsy 6 engines, 6-cylinder engines, providing the additional power that we needed in order to power this much bigger aircraft. And that's not the only place where the changes are. If we look at the wings, we'll see that they are also different. You've got a normal inner bay here, but as you move out towards the tip, there's just a single strut, which is one of the key identifiers of a Rapide. And as you look along the wing, you'll notice it's a completely new design. It's got a very clear taper, much like more modern aircraft like the later DH-88 Comet Racer. And the other thing that's different is on the Rapide, or the Dragon 6 as they originally called it, you can't fold these wings. So underneath these 6-cylinder Gypsy 6 engines, you've got a spat system to protect the undercarriage wheels. That's very distinctively different from what you actually see on the original DH-84 Dragon. The 6-cylinder engine meant that this aircraft was originally marketed not as a Dragon Rapide but as a Dragon 6, indicating the type of engine it had. So you had the Dragon Moth, and then known as the Dragon, and then you had the Dragon 6, which later became the Dragon Rapide, and most people these days just call it a Rapide.